Melbourne Renegades are a super relevant BBL Supercoach side here coming into this season. I'm super excited to go through them. The hardest part with the Renegades is assessing which one of these guys are going to be in your side, because I actually can make a case for almost everyone, bar probably John O'Wells, just batting at 6 there. The rest of the guys have some type of value, whether they can just get points on the board for you early at a higher price, they have some type of upside, or they're an underpriced gun of previous years, or someone that's sort of at least 40 to 50k undervalued from previous seasons there, and are getting slightly older but still have the ability to be really dominant. The Renegades have a bye in round 3, so with these bowlers especially being in a lot of people's teams, or being on notice for a lot of people's teams, it's going to be navigating that coming into round 2 and 3. They also have a double in round 4 as well, so you probably do want to keep a couple at least heading into the round 4 double, where they are joined by the Adelaide Strikers. So round 1 and round 4 they have the double, with round 3 having the bye. Let's go through the team 1 through 11 and what I'm expecting to happen here. So Josh Brown comes over from the Brisbane Heat after having a really good final series. So he's priced at his regular season numbers, and he had some really good games in the final series. So he definitely has some upside. And if you think that he can perform anywhere near that, I think he's a really solid guy at 112 that isn't going to break the bank, that has that upside in the batting stocks. When you look at the top 4, it's got Tim Seyfarth there at 152. You've got Fraser McGurk and Laurie Evans at 128 and 136. They're all pretty solid prices, but Josh Brown is the cheapest, and he gets first crack at opener, which we know is a really good spot in BBLSC. Tim Seyfarth comes in next at 152, and he brings a little bit more international experience, obviously. Spoke about him in the imports video. He has nice T20 numbers. The question is with Tim, do you want to pay up for him at 152 in that keeper's slot? Because that's where you'd be looking for him, is to cover that keeper's slot, get a really nice double on the park in round 1, because you're going to have him, you're going to have Joe Clark, are the two guys from the doubles in round 1 that you might want to look at, but Clark is not going to be there for the entire series. Tim is going to be. So if he lines up in round 1, I can see people taking him on as a double at the top of the order, if that's the way that it plays out. But at 152, it's a bit of cash to pay up, but it could be really good idea. Jake Fraser McGurk at 128, a little bit out of form in recent history, but we know that he did really well in the BBL, getting to this lovely price of 128. But then he went to the IPL and absolutely crushed it. He did even better than he did in the BBL. So if he brings that type of form, then he's going to be a 200k player, especially with a double in round 1 and round 4 respectively. But if he brings his recent form, where he's averaging just a tick over 10 across his couple of different tournaments, then that will hurt you a little bit. Fraser McGurk is highly owned, close to 40% now. And is that something you want to be a part of, or do you want to be a little bit more of an anti-pod play with him and avoid him to start at that price point and watch from behind the couch? Because we know I personally enjoy watching him play, and if I don't select him personally, and right now I don't have him in my side, but we'll see how things play out come round 1. I've got a few more Renegades bowlers in my side, but as I said, that could be a bit of a problem come round 3 when you have a lot of them on the bye. You might have a guy that is a non-player that you're using for looping purposes and to get better plays in the rest of your side. So yeah, because someone like Fraser McGurk, Brown, and even Laurie Evans could be a really good selection for your side. And so Laurie, he's the one I'm most excited about, but is at a pretty awkward price. And the thing with Laurie is he batted between 5 and 6 with the Scorchers, and he's going to get an opportunity here, I think, at number 4, very clearly. I just love watching him play. He absolutely dominates in the Big Bash when he gets his opportunities, but in his recent performances as well, in some of the other competitions around the world, he hasn't set the world alight either. Very similar to that of Fraser McGurk. But with these two, do they come back and have those memories of playing really well in the Big Bash and come out and doing really well? And so how does he go with the promotion up to 4 and also the new team? That's the big question for Laurie Evans. 136, he's the one that I think that he'll be really fun to own. So if you do jump on Laurie, I think you'll have a fun time. You'll have his odd really good game, and you might have a few low ones in there as well, but that's batting. Mackenzie Harvey, 58.5k. So the big one with Mac is that he picked up 134 not out recently in one of the 50 over games, and he also has 3 low scores recently. Some solid T20 hitouts in Darwin, and the question is, does he keep his spot over Wells? Does he move to 6? that's where we're at with Mac. But with them, they do have Jacob Bethel, who will likely return in round 4. So I do think that someone like Mac Harvey, if you were to play him in your side as a cheap double player at 58.5k, you do have to wonder, does he go to 6 or does John O'Wells keep the spot in the side? Because Bethel will be up in that top 5 there with the bat, and then be an important bowler as well, I think, at some point during this in this team during the tournament. So Mac Harvey, if you do grab him, it's an early play, I think. Maybe you use it as a loop in round 3, and then you might have to sell unless there's injuries in that top line. But he's someone that could come out at that price and do a solid job. John O'Wells is 78.1. I just think his bat's too low to be selected, and also with Bethel coming back as well, and he hasn't really done well in Supercoach in the last few years. All right, now we move to the bowlers, and Will Sutherland comes in a lovely spot there at number 7, most likely, and is a good chance of bowling 3 to 4 overs. He just copped an injury recently, so he'll be touch and go for the start of the BBL, but if he is there, I think that a lot of people will select him. The main worry is the fact that, I think batting will be fine, but bowling, does he get that full allotment if he's back, just coming fresh off an injury? I think these guys, you want them coming in fresh and ready to go with their bodies at 132k. I think it is a nice enough price to pay the piper and just grab him. But there's also, it can also be tough to grab him if he's coming off an injury. And 132k, he started incredible last year and then he fell off the wagon. So we know he has high upside, but he can have the low side as well. Tom Rogers, a previous gun as well. So he was up in the 170s last year, which was crazy. His recent form hasn't been ideal, obviously, but he can definitely do it. And we know he can get back to that really, really good effort there. So Tom Rogers is someone on your list, but when you've got Zampa, O'Neill, and Richardson all cheaper than him, that's the hard part. When you can spend that little bit less and get some people that either have some young man upside in Fergus O'Neill or has the previous pedigree as well in Kane Richardson, 20k cheaper. And then Zampa, we know that he can be a 120, 130, 140 type of guy as well. And Zamps at 80k had a shocker last year. I think he's a must pick. He's just too cheap for the quality that he possesses. Fergus O'Neill, 10k cheaper than Rogers. I just think he's a great pick in general. He's going to bowl early. He's been taking a lot of wickets in this season in the Sheffield Shield and the 50 over stuff as well. Did really well in the couple of games he played last year, an average of 50 across the 2, and just not too expensive. So yeah, get on the young fella coming through. Kane Richardson, another 10k cheaper than Fergus. I think the class should prevail with him. He had his worst season by far, and he's a 130k plus guy. So if you want to select him early, get a couple of doubles out of him, a couple of price rises, and then you can move him on from there once their buy comes or get through that double and go from there. So as you can tell, there's a lot of guys here that you could potentially select in your side. And I suppose it's just looking at your team makeup and how you can navigate the first 3 or 4 rounds, if you can do it or not. Now with the bowling stocks, I think without Bethel to begin the season, they have 5 bowlers, which is massive news. If this is the team they actually pick, which I think really they must, unless they bring in some type of local talent for a couple of weeks, or they select another bowler instead of a Wellesley or Harvey. I think with the 5 bowlers, they're all classy. They're all experienced guys, or they're up and comers in Fergus and Will. I just think there's value everywhere in this team, especially with the bowlers there. But the reason there's value is because they didn't perform very well last year. So keep an eye on that. But with there being only the 5 bowlers, most likely, you should expect that most of them will get 3 to 4 overs unless they use a part-timer in for a couple of overs there. In the batting stocks, I think bringing in Seyfarth and Evans is massive for their prospects as a team. Brown is the upside as well at the top, and they'll have guys do a job in the middle order. So I think they're a little bit stronger than previous years. They've got guys that have runs on the board in different T20 tournaments, whether it's Big Bash or IPL or whatever else. And then Seyfarth comes in with some international experience as well, which is good. So the team should be better. And yeah, as I said, the bowlers of interest, you're looking at 5 guys that all could make money there. Which one are you going to pick? It may come down to some luck across that first 4 rounds. And then the batters of interest, I've got the top 4. I think they all have a case to be made. If the Renegades start hot, it can definitely make your season. And if they don't, I think it could ruin it, to be honest with you. If you get a little bit wrong, because they're just batters and they're not all-rounders. It's as simple as that, obviously, with the value on offer, the ability to spread the money around due to their round 1 double, for sure. So could select them, could not. It could make or break the season for sure. And a couple of guys that just missed out is Gurinder Sandhu, Harry Dixon. Gurinder will be the next up bowler, and then Dixon's the next up left-hand bat. Well, next in until Bethel returns anyway, then it'll be second from the top. We spoke about Bethel. I think he's given an interesting one come round 4 for that double. But then from there, do you hold him for some price rises if he comes in and does well? We'll have to see. And then on test duty, we have Nathan Lyon at 58.5K. So keep it really simple with these lineups, guys. We'll get my little structure video very, very soon. But that's the Melbourne Renegades. There's plenty of guys to look at. And I hope that helps you with your selections of your round 1 teams, which we've got just a tick over 2 weeks now until game 1 on the 15th of December.